ज्ञानतिमरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं
Thank you.
तस्मै
Balti Om kini mana laddu gopal lawi deh.
Gurave Namaha. Okay, so we're going to read and okay, that's
Yes,
fine.
Mataji, it's showing now.
It's showing now. Oh, okay, fantastic. Okay, we are good. So we'll get started with reading. We have the reading order, and I think we also have Bhagavad-gita on our one of the screens. And let me know when you're able to see it on your screens. It should show up there momentarily. And we also have Meera joined. Is she on the reading order?
Yes, ma'am. We
She's
got
there.
it.
She's there.
We got it. Got it.
Is she?
Screen, I got it.
No, Mataji, she's not in the reading order, but we will add her.
Yeah, just check her with her first.
Meera Mataji will be able to read.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So please go ahead, whoever is in the line to read.
Is that me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Devotional Service, Chapter 12. Text 1. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? Text 2. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. Hare Krishna.
Text 3 and 4. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. Text 5. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Varshana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you so much. But those who worship me, all their activities unto being devoted to me without action, engaged in devotion, always meditating on, having fixed their minds upon me. For them, I am from the ocean of birth and death. Text, text 8. Fix your mind upon me, personality of Godhead, and elevate your intelligence in me. Thus,
I think Mataji is having problems. She's reading, but we can't hear her. We can't see her also. Right? Okay. So let's go further. I'll just read 8 to complete the thing. I could hear her. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. So I finished it for Varshana Mataji, and then let's go.
Text 9. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Text 10. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Hare Krishna.
Text 11. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Text 12. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. Hare Krishna, Suttapa Mataji.
Thank you. Text 13 and 14. One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Text 15. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. Hare Krishna. Simi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activity, who is pure expert without cares, free from all pains and not striving for some results, is very dear to me. Text 17. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. Hare Krishna. I think it's Aruni Mataji.
Texts 18 and 19. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. Text 20. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what words are we going to do today? 10?
2.10, Mataji.
Yeah.
12.10.
Yes. There you go. Thank you. So whose turn is it to read?
Khyati Mataji, I think.
Khyati?
Mataji, I'm having like screen issues. I'm not able to turn it on my phone, so it's looking very small.
Okay.
Can you? Okay.
Does it help?
Yeah.
Does it
Yes,
help?
now it helps, Mataji.
Okay.
Abhyasepi asmarthosi. 1 second, Mataji. Meera. Abhyasepi asmarthosi matkarma paramo bhava mad artham api karmani kurvan siddhim avyapsasi. I hope that was okay, Mataji.
That was fantastic. Yeah.
Sorry for the distance.
Go ahead. So, yeah, whose turn is it next? And
Abhyase
Meera
in
Mataji's turn.
practice.
Meera
Oh, I'm
Mataji.
sorry.
Meera, please.
Do I read the translation?
You read the synonyms.
Oh, okay. Abhyase in practice, api even if, asamartha unable, asi you are, mat karma my work, parma dedicated to, bhava become, mat artham for my sake, api even, karmani work, kurvan performing, siddhim perfection, avapsyasi you will achieve. Translation: If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage.
Purport?
Oh, should I read?
No, somebody else will do it.
Okay.
Whose turn is it?
Purport? One who is not able even to practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of a spiritual master can still be drawn to this perfectional stage by working for the Supreme Lord. How to do this work has already been explained in the 55th verse of the 11th chapter. One should be sympathetic to the propagation of Krishna consciousness. There are many devotees who are engaged in the propagation of Krishna consciousness and they require help. So, even if one cannot directly practice the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, he can try to help such work. Every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business, one requires a place to stay, some capital to use, some labor, and some organization to expand. So the same is required in the service of Krishna. The only difference is that, Mataji, can you scroll it, please?
Yeah.
The only difference is that in materialism, one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is spiritual activity. If one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna consciousness, or he can help with publications. There are various fields of activity, and one should be interested in such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the results of his activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage, percentage of percentage to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one to rise to a higher state of love for God, whereupon one becomes perfect. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is reflection time now. So we can reflect on this as well as reflect on, now Priyanka Mataji is also here. Okay, fantastic. I don't know, are you in a position to read, Mataji? Priyanka?
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Siri, I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
Siri is very active.
Very responsive.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I'd like to welcome Dilip Bhai Patel Prabhu, Hemlata Mataji, Amit Goswami Prabhu, Neelam Sharma Mataji, and Shruti Priya Mataji from Chicago, who's watching us on Facebook, as well as all of you here. So let's get some reflections.
Mataji, the translation, if you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. So I was reading a message from Sachidananda Swami today morning. So the word, I liked it so much that you must know that there is, if all things that is world can do, world can be done by others. But there is one thing which lies only in your own hand. It's your spiritual upliftment.
There you go. Yeah. In that journey, you are sort of alone, in the sense that nobody else can do it. They can influence you, they can help you, but it's yours. Yeah, all glories to Sachidananda Swami Maharaj.
So I thought that we can link these two, that you can only need to do just to work for Krishna.
Yeah. Nice. What are the reflections?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I really like the way how Krishna is, motivating us. I mean, all the devotees. Like for a beginners like me, it's very difficult to constantly, fix your mind onto him. So he's giving us so many options in which you can, attain him. And this is also one of the greatest, way in which we can worship him, by, dedicating all our work actions onto the Supreme Lord. And since we are grahasthas, so I feel if we keep Krishna as the center, thinking like all our children are, husband, wife, or all the family members, they are the children of the Lord himself. So we are working towards his pleasure rather than, getting ourselves attached to them. So that will help us to uplift, spiritually, and advance in spiritual,
Very
progress.
nice. Very nice.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I really like the point, Mataji, that if you cannot do anything, you cannot sacrifice the results of your activities even. Percentage to propagate Krishna consciousness. This is very important, and I really feel that it brings so many people into it. If one person propagates, so many people come into it, and they get to know about Krishna consciousness, about Krishna also, because many people don't even know who Krishna is. So it is a great service to the Lord.
Exactly. Yeah. So many people don't know what Krishna is, and they also don't know what Krishna is not. Right?
Yes.
They
Yes.
have their own notions.
That is
about
also
Krishna.
true. Hmm.
Very nice. Any other reflections? Very simple, very straightforward words. You can reflect on the whole chapter also, if you have a paucity for reflections on this particular verse, which is very important.
And Mataji, Bhakti Yoga under the guidance of spiritual master. You see, we cannot do Bhakti without the guidance of a senior devotee who is a senior devotee and the Guru, because they have practiced and they have seen all these things, and they have gone through Bhakti Yoga. So it becomes easier for us if we follow the footprints and follow the path shown to us by our Guru and our Shiksha Gurus. Hare Krishna.
Exactly, exactly. Because you follow the one who is headed in the right direction, then you just keep following them, you will also reach the same destination, right?
Because sometimes
Mataji,
Shastras may be difficult for us to understand. So it becomes easy if we listen to our seniors and our Guru.
Very nice. And somebody else also was trying to speak. Was it?
yeah, I was on saying, Mataji, here, every endeavor requires land, capital, organization, and labor. Just as in business, it requires place to stay, some capital to use, some labor too. So here they say the only difference is that in materialism, one works for sense gratification. The same work, however, can be performed for the satisfaction of Krishna, and that is spiritual activity if one has sufficient money.
Yeah.
So he can
very important
help,
point, right?
He can help building temple or office or anything, something like that.
Yeah.
Propagating Krishna consciousness.
As Varshana Mataji was saying, that it's an important thing for us that we need to propagate it, right? Yeah. So sometimes we sometimes in the thrust the thrust of devotional service, especially those who are new to devotional service, they might just go to the other extreme and then renounce everything, and they might just say that, oh, money means materialism and I'm pursuing devotional service, I have got nothing to do with money, I don't need any money, I will not generate any Lakshmi, like that, right? But here, so Krishna is actually in these three or four verses that we have covered over the past few days. Krishna was talking about first he had established in the earlier verses about the superiority of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He had also talked about how difficult it is to concentrate on the impersonal, especially for those who have got a body, right? They can't understand what it means to focus on the impersonal. And then he started telling us that focusing on the personal is the best. And then he set a very high bar. He said, Mayeva mana adhatva, mai buddhim niveshaya. Okay. So now we have to understand that in this particular verse, Krishna is actually focusing on the subtle body, right? Mind is subtle or gross?
Subtle.
Subtle, Mataji.
Right, yes. And intelligence is subtle or gross?
Subtle.
Subtle, right? So both of the items are subtle, and we know that it's difficult to control the subtle. Okay, and what I mean by that is that if you have something which is gross, like this pen, right? So you can pick this pen from here and you can put it in some other place. You can control it much better. You can bend it and do things like that, right? But if you go to something which is a little bit more subtle than pen, right? The pen is made largely of earth. So earth is gross. And then less gross than earth is what? Which element is less gross than earth? Is earth, bhumi. And then after that, what is apo? What is apo? Bhumi, apo,
Air.
anal,
Air.
apo.
Water.
Water, right? So there's water. So water is a little bit more difficult, right? Like you cannot hold the water in your fist like that because it is more subtle. So subtle things are a little bit more difficult to control. Then bhumi, apo, analo. But at least you can pour water into a container, right? That much of control you can do. Now, bhumi, apo, anala. What is anala?
Fire.
Fire, right? So when it is fire, then you can't put it in a container, right? You can't bend it, no, can't do things like that. It's a little more difficult. So as you go up and up, air, you can't control the wind. You can't stop it. Vayu, right? Bhumi, apo, anala, vayu. And then kham, mano, buddhir, right? So the kham, bhumi, apo, anala, vayu, kham, mano, buddhireva cha. So kham is space or akash, still more subtle. And then even more subtle than kham is man, which is the mind. And then even more subtle than the mind is the buddhi, which is the intelligence, right? So as you progress towards the more subtle things, we know that it's very difficult to control them. And Krishna has started from the highest level. He says, Mayyeva mana adhatsva mai buddhim niveshaya. So he's saying that you control your mind and your intelligence, the two subtle things, and then you invest them in me, right? Dedicate them to me, like that he's saying. So he's talking about controlling at a subtle level. And then he says, okay, it's going to be difficult. So he said, now, okay, fine. Now you make use and take the help of something which is gross also, right? So make the use of your other senses, right? So when you make use of other senses, and what does he want us to do? He wants us to do abhyas yoga, right? Mayyeva man adatsva, mai buddhim niveshaya, niveshishai mayyeva atha urdam na samshaya, atha chittam samadhatum na shaknoshi maitram abhyas yogena tatho mam ichhatum dhananjaya. So he said that if you cannot invest your mind and intelligence on me, then you do some abhyas yoga, you do some practice, right? So abhyas, and what is there involved in abhyas? What do you do in abhyas? How do you do abhyas? How do you practice devotional service? Give me some examples of how you practice devotional service. Give me. We've been talking about that.
Chanting the holy name of the Lord and reading the scriptures. Yes, Arun, Anya, please go ahead.
9 types of devotional service.
Say that part again. I didn't get that.
The 9 types of devotional service.
We do the 9 types of devotional service, and give me a few. Very good.
There is chanting and listening and remembering in kirtan.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is deity worship
Okay.
and I don't remember.
And there is Padsevanam, right? Dasyam, Padsevanam, Atma Samvedanam. Okay, good, good, good. So you see over here that when we are engaged in devotional service, then we are actually using some of the material or the gross, not material, but the gross parts of our body as well. It's not just the mind and intelligence. Of course, you need your mind and intelligence when you are doing devotional service, but then you make use of other items also, right? For example, Pada Sevanam, right? So
Shavanam,
you're
Kirtanam,
servicing the
Ragasanam,
lotus feet,
Dasya.
right? You're doing Kirtanam, you're using a tongue, and so on and so forth. So you are using those things. So what Krishna is doing is that from starting from a very high level, which is subtle, now he's going a little bit into the gross and he's asking us to do that. So I might not be able to focus my mind on Krishna. And the reason for that is that my mind wants to go here and there because of certain desires that I have, right? So in order to help the mind stay focused, we engage ourselves in deity worship and things like that, so that, for, at least for that duration of time, the mind will want to stay with Krishna like that. Now, deity worship might not be possible for everybody to do, right? They might not have deities. They might be living in a family which doesn't follow Krishna consciousness, so deities are not allowed in their home and things like that. So Krishna is saying that, if you cannot do that, abhyase today, abhyase apya asamarthosi mat karma paramo bhava madartham api karmani kurvam siddhim avapsasi. So he says that if you cannot practice devotional service, cannot do abhyas, then mat karma paramo bhava, do something for me, right? Madhartam api karmani kurvam siddhim avapsasi. So he's saying that, whatever you are doing, then you do that to me. And I'll bring up a nice little verse from Mukund Mala Stotra. I really like it. And I'm going to start sharing that with you on the second screen. And one of you should tell me that you're able to see it.
Yes, Mataji.
Can you? All right. And let's see, what do we have on the screen? Here we have. So it's saying, "O tongue." So now you're engaging your senses. "O tongue, praise the glories of Lord Keshava. O mind, worship the enemy of Mura. O hand, serve the Lord of Shri. O ears, hear the topics of Lord Achyuta. O eyes, gaze upon Shri Krishna. O feet, go to the temple of Lord Hari. O nose, smell the tulsi buds on the Lord Mukunda's feet. O head, bow down to Lord Adhokshaja." So you see how this verse is teaching you how to engage your various senses in the service of the Lord. And here, go. That's the Sanskrit from Mukundamala Sutra. It's verse number 20 there, and it goes like this. Jivhe kirtaya keshavam muraripum cheto bhaja shridharam Pani bandva samarthya katha Shrotra-dvayatvam shruno Krishnam lokaya lochana dvaya hare Gacchad viyukmalayam Shikra grahana mukunda pada tulasim Murdhannamadhokshajam. Right? So very nice and a beautiful verse from Mukundmala Stotra, and which is telling us that how we can engage everything in the devotional service of the Lord, like that. Okay. So in the previous verses, Krishna has been talking about how to engage your mind and then how to engage your senses in the next verse. And now he's saying that, okay, maybe you might not be able to do this, such a direct worship of the Supreme Lord. Then you just go and come and do work for me. So work for me is what he's saying, right? That is what we should be doing. And then when it comes to that I'm going to do work, Prabhupada says, and as Vindhyavali Mataji has pointed out, that it is quite possible for us to need some Lakshmi, to need some material things, but engage them still in the service of the Lord. So idea is that we will be delving in the material energy, we will come in contact with the material energy, but we will keep this at the back of our mind that the material energy is also one of the energies of the Lord. And there's a very nice verse which comes in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and that verse says that anasaktasya vishayan yathartam upayunjuta nirbandha Krishna sambandhe falgu vairagyam uchyate. So it says that if you engage, not falgu vairagyam, yuktam vairagya uchyate. Yuktam vairagya uchyate is that when you take every piece of material items that you can get, but you engage them in the service of the Lord. When you engage them in the service of Lord, then that is actually Krishna karma. Right? And so when you're engaging them, everything you're doing it for Krishna, then naturally you will not be connected with the results of the work because you're doing it only for him. So whatever is the result, that also should be done for him, right? So I could be running a business, right? I could be running a business. And Prabhupada tells us that, but if I need to transform that business and make that business a Krishna conscious activity, then I have to just make sure that the results of the business are dedicated to Krishna, right? So what that means is that if I'm running a business, I will understand that Krishna is the proprietor of the business, and the proprietor of the business owns all the money from the business, right? And as a result of that, if he has to offer whatever that he has, if he has to offer that to Krishna, he will do that, right? And who was it that we know who offered everything to Krishna?
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj.
Exactly, right? So in the end, the extreme that he did was he offered his own body also to Krishna, saying that, this is what, if you need a place to put your third foot, then here it is, like that.
Head.
So it's okay to be involved in what might seem from a distance to be completely materialistic activities, but it's not the case, right? People could be engaged in having negotiations with building contractors. They could be searching from where I can get cheap cement and things like that, or learning about how to construct a building. And one might think like, why are you spending your time learning material sciences? But they are doing it for Krishna, right? For example, the Temple of Vedic Planetarium is coming up in India. It's been going on for so many years. Hundreds of devotees have been involved in it, right? So they are constructing a building, right? But they are constructing it for Krishna. So that is the most important thing to keep in mind, right? So, and again, when we say that you are going to engage in the service of Krishna, it doesn't mean that you have to always take up big projects. Projects could be small projects also. And as Varshana Mataji was pointing out, that you could be just engaged in propagating Krishna consciousness, right? Go out, preach Krishna consciousness to people, go out, distribute and give books to people like that, right? Or make some prasadam and distribute prasadam to people. So you can do all that kind of stuff as well, right? And then if you're not able to, suppose you say that, oh, wow, this is what it is, I don't think I have got enough money to be able to construct a temple. And that is fine. You don't have money to construct a temple, then you can just go and work at the temple. You can use your hands to clean the temple, right? So we just read from the Mukund Mala Stotra and how you can engage all your activities and all your senses in that, right? And you can also tell me some more examples of how you can do these kind of works without necessarily having to generate Lakshmi for that. What are the other ways in which you can generate? do some work for Krishna. Other
Really
than
doing
DT
flower
worship,
seva,
other than DT
doing
worship
flower,
and japa.
doing flower seva, then doing cooking for Krishna, cleaning.
Okay, good.
Talk
Propagate
about
Krishna
glory.
consciousness.
Say that again, please.
Propagate Krishna consciousness.
Talk about. Did you say talk about?
No, propagate Krishna consciousness.
Propagate. Okay, propagate. Yes, yes.
To do the service to exalted devotee, Mataji.
Say that
Is
again.
also to do some service to the exalted devotee who is very near and dear to Krishna.
To serve Krishna, yes. To serve Krishna is also serving. To serve Krishna's devotees is also serving Krishna. Yeah.
Aruni Mataji was saying.
Aruni Mataji was saying something.
No, I think it's already been said. I was going to say to talk about the glories of Krishna.
To talk about the glories and spread the glories of Krishna. Right. So also
Mataji, do book distribution?
Yes, always. Yes, yes. And what about something which is seemingly mundane? Like what if I'm growing vegetables? How can I convert that into something for Krishna?
Offer it to Krishna.
Offer it to Krishna, right?
But you are also making the prasadam with that vegetables, and you are feeding so many devotees, and not only devotees, the people who are in need.
Yeah.
Who does not
Yeah,
have
so
the food.
Right. So, but yeah, for people who don't have food, we just don't go and give them food, right? We make it first into prasadam and we give them extra, right? The better food. Yes, we do that. And then also, if you have vegetables, and the vegetables will always be surplus, right? How much can we eat? The tree will give so much and suddenly the whole tree will be in bloom, right? So we can't eat all of them at the same time. But even before that, right, we should just think that if I'm growing vegetables, that Krishna is the proprietor of my vegetable garden. He's the proprietor of my kitchen garden. So whenever the first fruits come out or the first vegetables come out, you should offer them, take them to a temple, donate them at the temple, and so on and so forth, because it's a tree, it'll give you lots more if you go and do like that, right? So you can engage. People write books, people print books, people bind books. So all these activities, if they are connected with Krishna, they become Krishna karma, right? So when you're doing something for Krishna, then that is yukta vairagya. So yukta vairagya is that you are vairagya. Vairagya means renunciation, detachment, right? So you are detached from the material energy and attached at the same time. So vairagya is to be detached, and yukta, it means to be attached. So this is a yukta vairagya, where you are connected with the material energy. You're connected with the material energy, but you are using it not for yourself, but in the service of the Lord. So that is why that particular verse in Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu talks about yukta vairagya, right? Yuktam vairagya uchyate, like that. And then in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where we have the what is that called? Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, right? And so there, it's a very nice explanation of Maya that is given there. And I'm just going to bring that verse up here. And who's next in the line to read? Do we know?
Kumal Radhe Mataji.
Okay. Kumal Radhe Mataji. All right. So we'll have her read from this. And Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, verse number 34.
Can you start it off for me?
Right. Rite ritam yat pratiyeta.
Na pratiyeta chatmani tadvidyad atmano mayam yatha bhaso yatha tamaha.
Tamaha, very nice. Okay. And now who's going to give us just the synonyms? Okay.
Hare Krishna Manave. Rite without, artham value, yat that which, pratiyet appears to be, na not, pratiyet appears to be, cha and, atmani in relation to me, tat that, vidyat you must know, atmanaha my, mayam illusionary energy, yatha, just as abhasah, the reflection, yatha, as tamah, the darkness. Hare Krishna Mataji. Archana Mataji.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Translation, O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusionary energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Hare Krishna.
Purport. In the previous verse, it has already been concluded that in any stage of the cosmic manifestation, its appearance, its sustenance, its growth, its interactions of different energies, its deterioration, and its disappearance, all has its basic relation with the existence of the personality of Godhead. And as such, wherever there is forgetfulness, wherever there is forgetfulness of this prime relation with the Lord, and whenever things are accepted as real without being related to the Lord, that conception is called a product of the illusionary energy of the Lord. Because nothing can exist without the Lord, it should be known that the illusionary energy is also an energy of the Lord. The right conclusion of dovetailing everything in relationship with the Lord is called Yoga Maya, or the energy of union. And the wrong conception of detaching a thing from its relationship with the Lord is called the Lord's Devi Maya, or Mahamaya. Both the Mayas also have connections with the Lord because nothing can exist without being related to Him. As such, the wrong conception of detaching relationships from the Lord is not false but illusionary. Hare Krishna, Sutapa Mataji.
Conceiving one thing for another thing is called illusion. For example, accepting a rope as a snake is illusion, but the rope is not false. The rope, as it exists in the front of illusioned person, is not at all false, but the acceptance is illusory. Therefore, the wrong conception of accepting the material manifestation as being divorced from the energy of the Lord is illusion, but it is not false. And this illusory conception is called the reflection of the reality in the darkness of ignorance. Anything that appears as apparently not being produced out of my energy is called Maya. The conception that the living entity is formless or that the Supreme Lord is formless is also illusion. Simi Mataji, you can continue.
Hare Krishna. In the Bhagavad-gita 2.12, it was said by the Lord in the midst of the battlefield that the warrior standing in front of Arjuna, Arjuna himself, and even the Lord had all existed before. They were existing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and they would all continue to be individual personalities in the future. Also, even after the annihilation of the present body and even after being liberated from the bondage of material existence. In all the circumstances, the Lord and the living entities are individual personalities, and the personal feature of both the Lord and living beings are never abolished. Only the influence of the illusionary energy, the reflection of the light in the darkness can by the mercy of Lord be removed. In the material world, the light of the sun is also not independent, nor is that of the moon. The real source of light is Brahma Jyoti, which diffuses light from the transcendental body of the Lord. And the same light is reflected in varieties of light: the light of the sun, the light of the moon, the light of the fire, or the light of the electricity. So, the identity of the self as being unconnected with the Supreme Self, the Lord, is also illusion, and the false claim, I am the Supreme, is the last illusory snare of the same Maya, or the external energy of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Aruni Mataji, you are next.
The Vedanta Sutra in the very beginning affirms that everything is born from the Supreme, and thus, as explained in the previous verse, all individual living entities are born from the energy of the Supreme Living Being, the personality of Godhead. Brahma himself was born from the energy of the Lord, and all other living entities are born from the energy of the Lord through the agency of Brahma. None of them has any existence without being dovetailed with the Supreme Lord. The independence of the individual living entity is not real independence, but is just a reflection of the real independence existing in the Supreme Being, the Lord. The false claim of supreme independence by the conditioned souls is illusion, and this conclusion is admitted in this verse. Kathy Mataji?
I will skip my turn. Meera Mataji, can you please read?
Persons with a poor fund of knowledge become illusioned, and therefore the so-called scientists, psychologists, empiric philosophers, etc., become dazzled by the glaring reflection of the sun, moon, electricity, etc., and deny the existence of the Supreme Lord, putting forward theories and different speculations about the creation, maintained an annihilation of everything material. The medical practitioner may deny the existence of the soul in the physiological bodily construction of an individual person, but he cannot give life to a dead body. Even though all the mechanisms of the body exist even after death, the psychologist makes a serious study of the psychological conditions of the brain, as if the construction of the cerebral lump were the machine of the functioning mind. But in the dead body, the psychologist cannot bring back the function of the mind. These scientific studies of the cosmic manifestations of the bodily construction, independent of Supreme Lord, are different reflective intellectual gymnastics only. But at the end, they are all illusion and nothing more. All such advancement of science and knowledge in the present context of material civilization is but an action of the covering influence of the illusory energy. The illusory energy has two faces of existence, namely the covering influence and the throwing influence. By the throwing influence, the illusory energy throws the living entities into the darkness of ignorance. And by the covering influence, she covers the eyes of men with the poor fund of knowledge about existence of the Supreme Person who enlightened the Supreme Individual Living Being, Brahma. The identity of Brahma with the Supreme Lord is never claimed herein, and therefore such a foolish claim can by the man with the poor fund of knowledge is another display of the illusory energy of the Lord. The Lord says in the Bhagavad-gita 16:18-20 that demonic persons who deny the existence of the Lord are thrown more and more into the darkness of ignorance, and thus such demonic persons transmigrate life after life without any knowledge of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Is it back to
Kathy,
Vidyavali?
Kathy Mataji?
Vrinda Vyaldi.
Kathy Mataji didn't.
Kathy cannot read.
No, okay. The sane man, however, is enlightened in the disciplic succession from Brahmaji, who was personally instructed by the Lord, or in the disciplic succession from Arjuna, who was personally instructed by the Lord in the Bhagavad-gita. He accepts that statement of the Lord, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. The Lord is the original source of all emanations, and everything that is created, maintained, and annihilated exists by the energy of the Lord. The sane man who knows this is actually learned, and therefore he becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Although the reflectory energy of the Lord displays various illusions to the eyes of persons with a poor fund of knowledge, the same person knows clearly that the Lord can act even from far, far beyond our vision by His different energies, just as fire can diffuse heat and light from a distant place. In the medical science of the ancient sages, known as the Ayurveda, there is definite acceptance of the Lord's supremacy in the following words. Is anybody reading? Sukamala Mataji?
Yeah, thank you. Jagat yoner anichyasya chid anandaika rupinah pumso stri prakriti nitya pratichya eva bhasvatah अचेतनापि चैतन्य योगेन परमात्मनः अकोरद् विश्वम् अखिलम् अनित्यं नाटकाकृतम्. There is one supreme person who is the progenitor of this cosmic manifestation and whose energy acts as Prakriti or the material nature, dazzling like a reflection. By such illusory action of Prakriti, even dead matter is caused to move by the cooperation of living energy of the Lord, and the material world appears like a dramatic performance to the ignorant eyes. The ignorant person, therefore, may even be a scientist or physiologist in the drama of Prakriti, while the sane person knows Prakriti as the illusory energy of the Lord. By such a conclusion, as confirmed by the Bhagavad-gita, it is clear that the living entities are also a display of the Lord's superior energy, Paraprakriti, just as the material world is a display of the Lord's inferior energy, Aparaprakriti. Varshana Mataji, you can read.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, I lost the line, Mataji.
Yes,
The
right.
superior energy of the Lord cannot be as good as the Lord, although there is very little difference between the energy and the possessor of the energy, or the fire and the heat. Fire is possessed of heat, but heat is not fire. This simple thing is not understood by the man with a poor fund of knowledge who falsely claims that the fire and the heat are the same. This energy of fire, namely heat, is explained here as a reflection and not directly fire. Therefore, the living energy represented by the living entities is the reflection of the Lord and never the Lord Himself. Never the Lord. Mataji, again, I lost my eyes. So I can't himself. Therefore, the living energy represented by the living entities is the reflection of the Lord and never the Lord Himself. Being the reflection of the Lord, the existence of the living entity is dependent on the Supreme Lord, who is the original light. This material energy may be compared to darkness, as actually it is darkness, and the activities of the living entities in the darkness are reflections of the original light. The Lord should be understood by the context of this verse. Non-dependence of both energies of the Lord is explained as Maya. Non-dependence of both the energies of Lord is explained as Maya or illusion. No one can make a solution of darkness, of ignorance, simply the next person can read. I can't, finding it difficult to concentrate on them. Similarly, no one can come out of the material existence simply by reflected light of the common man. No, then Archana Mataji can
Yeah,
read,
Mataji,
Mataji.
Mataji, I'll read it. No one can make a solution of the darkness of ignorance simply by the reflection of light. Similarly, no one can come out of material existence simply by the reflected light of the common man. One has to receive the light from the original light itself. The reflection of sunlight in the darkness is unable to drive out the darkness, but the sunlight outside the reflection can drive out the darkness completely. In darkness, no one can see the things in a room. Therefore, a person in the dark is afraid of snakes and scorpions, although there may not be such things. But in the light, the things in the room can be clearly seen, and the fear of snakes and scorpions is at once removed. Therefore, one has to take the shelter of the light of the Lord, as in the Bhagavad-gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam, and not the reflective personalities who have no touch with the Lord. No one should hear Bhagavad-gita or Srimad Bhagavatam from a person who does not believe in the existence of the Lord. Such a person is already doomed, and any association with such a doomed person makes the associator also doomed. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. According to the Padma Purana, within the material compass, there are innumerable material universes, and all of them are full of darkness. Any living being, beginning from the Brahmas, there are innumerable Brahmas in the innumerable universes, to the insignificant ant, are all born in darkness, and they require factual light from the Lord to see Him directly, just as the sun can be seen only by the direct light of the sun. No lamp or man made torchlight, however powerful it may be, can help one see the sun. The sun reveals itself. Therefore, the action of different energies of the Lord or the personality of Godhead Himself can be realized by the light manifested by the causeless mercy of the Lord. The impersonalists say that God cannot be seen. God can be seen by the light of God and not by man made speculations. Here, this light is specifically mentioned as Vidyat, which is an order by the Lord to Brahma. This direct order of the Lord is a manifestation of His internal energy, and this particular energy is the means of seeing the Lord face to face. Not only Brahma, but anyone who may be graced by the Lord to see such merciful, direct internal energy can also realize the personality of Godhead without any mental speculation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for reading. This comes from the Chaturshloki Srimad Bhagavatam. And I just wanted to point out that it was such a nice narration that Prabhupada, such a nice explanation Prabhupada has given in a long purport to that, which actually is emphasizing the significance of this particular verse. But the key thing to notice here is how he says that what exactly Maya is. Ritiritam yat pratyeta na pratyeta chatmani. So he says that whatever, if it is not engaged in the service of the Lord, is actually Maya. And that actually is illusion.
Illusion, yeah.
Right? And everything else that you engage it in the service of the Lord, that is fine. And that is what today's verse in Bhagavad Gita is also saying, right? So you engage, right? Whatever you have, whatever you're doing, you just use it in the service of the Lord. If you cannot do the prior two things over there. Okay? So we will stop over here. We've gone way beyond our stipulated time. And tomorrow morning, Vaisheshika tomorrow is actually Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day.
Yeah.
And it's being celebrated all over the world. And Vaisheshika Prabhu will be giving a lecture early in the morning at 5:30. So to the GBC strategic planning team, it's organized by them. And others are also going to give lectures there, Radhanath Swami Maharaj and one more, I'm forgetting the name. And so I will post that announcement on our group so that you can see it. And of course, those of you watching on Facebook, you can also watch it there. It will be on the Facebook page of GBC Strategic Planning team. And I see that Sanjeev Keswani Prabhu, Danvat Pranams, and Namazya Mataji has also joined the call. So welcome to the call. And yeah, so tomorrow we have got that, and tomorrow is Wednesday, so we won't have class tomorrow, but we will have class at ISKCON of Silicon Valley in the evening. So please do join there because we'll have a celebration.
One small sentence I want to complete, Mataji. Anything and everything which is not engaged in Krishna's service is illusionary energy.
Yeah, it's Maya. Yeah.
Maya.
Maya means not this, means
correct.
Not real.
Yes.
Ma means not. Yeah means this.
Can I just ask this one sentence I didn't understand? What is this non-dependence on the on material energy is, what is that? There was one line, is Maya. But what do you mean by non-dependence? Why would non-dependence be Maya?
It doesn't say it that way. Let me just bring it up. It says slightly differently. And I'm trying to search it. Okay, here is the search window, and I will share. Let me look for it. It doesn't say non-dependence as such, but let me share the screen.
No, it did say non-dependence.
Okay. It's not giving me the word.
Here it is. Non-dependence of both the energies of the Lord is explained as Maya or illusion.
Okay, so the law should be understood by the context of this particular verse, right? The verse that non-dependence of both the energy of the Lord is explained as Maya. Yeah, right. So that is what this whole verse is saying, right? It's saying, Rite ritam yat pratyeta na pratyeta chatmani. So if you are thinking that this material energy that you see around yourself is not dependent on God, and you're seeing it as not as energy of the Lord, then you are in illusion, right? So that's what it's saying, that even this material energy is actually an energy of the Lord. It is dependent on the Lord. And so, and anybody who's thinking that this material energy is not dependent on the Lord, then you are in Maya. Then you are in illusion.
Oh, I see, that way. Okay.
That way, saying, yeah. little twist. Yeah, it's slightly twisted.
And even Maya is dependent on Krishna Mataji, because she can also not influence anything without his permission, or give anything without his permission.
Yes, yeah. So that's what we're saying, non-dependent. To think that Maya is not dependent on Krishna. Well, yeah, that meaning of Maya, yeah. So, yes, it makes us feel a little bit better because we are surrounded by energy.
Chatushloki Bhagavatam is text 30, 31, no.
33, 34.
34.
33, 34. 33, 34, 36.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because Krishna says, Devi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya, mam evaya prapadyante, mayam etam tarantite. So he says this Devi, this Maya is, mine, Devi. And it's very difficult to cross and overcome Maya. Right? And then Maya is that you think that this material energy is not, whatever you see material things around you is not connected to Krishna, which means that they are meant for my enjoyment. So once you get into that, it's very difficult to get out of that cycle, or out of that entanglement, out of that snare. But if you mayam etam tarantite, mam evaya prapadyante, mayam etam tarantite. So, but those who surrender unto me, they can cross over this ocean of taranti. I will take them across. I will do that. So that Krishna's guarantee is there, right? And we read.
Yeah. Mataji, can I ask a small question?
Yes, ask a small one because I have a meeting starting.
Yeah, otherwise we can ask, I'll ask this day after tomorrow also if you are,
Yeah, ask the question and we'll see. Yeah, if I need to answer it later, then I'll answer.
Yeah. Mataji, I was like, we are the superior energy of the Lord, right? The Jiva souls, and Maya is inferior energy of the Lord. So, and both of us, I mean, are divine energies of the Lord. So my question is like, though we are superior to Maya, but still we are under the control of Maya. So
And that's because of the false ego, and that has been done. That has been done for a purpose, right? It's been done for a purpose because we wanted to enjoy independent of Krishna, right? For example, we do it with kids also. They want to enjoy the utensils in the kitchen, the real utensils. But you don't give the real utensils to the kids, right? Instead, we buy them a little tea set, we buy them small, you must have done that, Arjuna, for your daughter, right? And they're happy, they play with it. So similarly, this material universe is like that tea set that you buy for your daughter. It's a tea set that that Krishna has provided to all of us. Said, okay, now you can enjoy.
but finally we'll get the real happiness once we'll reach to our mother, which is the Lord Krishna, right? The child can play with the toys for some time, but afterwards
They get bored. Yeah,
yeah,
they want
they
the real thing.
have to reach out to the mother.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay, yeah. All righty, dears. So we will call it off a day today with a special thanks to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada for translating his books into this English language, and because of that only that we are able to get in touch with the scriptures, and of course his wonderful purports and the fantastic lectures that he and all his disciples and his grand disciples give all over the world today, because of which we are able to stay in touch with Krishna and away from Maya, like that. So have a fantastic day today and tomorrow as well. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha gopirimanande hari hari bol. Thank you so much.
Thank
Those on
you.
Facebook as well as those of
Thank you
you who
so
are
much,
in
Madam.
Zoom. Have a
Thank you so
fantastic
much,
day.
Madam.
Thank you.
Wonderful
You're
class.
welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Welcome. Have a fantastic